right, so let's just get right into it. Obviously, Sunday morning, well, not morning, but afternoon, if you would, the AFC Championship game was held. Kansas City going into Baltimore. First time Baltimore's hosted the AFC Championship game since like the early 70s. I think 71 might have been the year, but don't hold me to it. Obviously, different crew, different ownership, different everything, different logo, different team, same city.
Right.
But the fact they were able to get that, hold that there, the game was tight like we expected. It was kind of lackluster. I mean, there was obviously some great plays, but it was kind of lackluster for the most part, 17-14. I don't know if you saw pregame. Everybody goes through their routines. Justin Tucker goes down to the goal line. He's making his routine, and basically Travis Kelce walks through, grabs his placeholder for the kicker, throws it out of the way, grabs his helmet, throws it out of the way, grabs his practice balls out of the way because we were practicing down there. So a little bit of gamesmanship, a little bit, hey, I'm not going to do nothing. Interesting. And then I saw that Justin Tucker was talking there was a little chatter between him and Mahomes and him pregame during that time frame. So it's like, dude, Justin Tucker.
You have no clue what was said.
I have no idea what was said, but you can see him. He had a smirk on his face as it was being thrown away, like, okay, touche.
Yeah, he was probably just like, what's up, bro? But, like, for real, like, if you're ever at a football game early enough and you see the teams warming up, that's where the quarterbacks warm up. They warm up midfield with their wide receivers, enough space so they can run their routes and practice. And then, obviously, Tucker has kind of some viral videos out there of him not caring if cheerleaders are in front of him and all these things. So,
he's not moving for no one.
Right, like Pat and all them, Kelce, they've seen those videos. They know Justin Tucker's not moving for anybody. They go, we'll make you move. So,
yeah, well, they did.
Go.
He scooted over a little bit, so it was kind of interesting, the gamesmanship there. What was nice about it was weather did not affect this game. Like, we were worried about, because there was some playoff games and some games late in the year that weather was a factor. This one wasn't that. It was simply two of the best teams in the AFC facing off in what should be a classic football game, and there were classic moments. Like I said, overall the game was kind of lackluster, but there were classic moments. Kelce 11 for 11 on targets and receptions, and the way some of those catches were, like, there were some really amazing moments, but again, lackluster. The big thing that stands out, I heard this today, Pat, and I got to bring this up to you. Ravens are 0-24 in games trailing at halftime by 10 or more since 2013. That's a big number. Yeah. Like, if they're down by 10 at halftime, they basically do not win a game. That's regular season and playoffs.
Right. So who do you blame for that? Like, I know obviously it can go both ways. Like, is it more coaching? Is it more the players? Like,
well, playing from behind versus playing from ahead, obviously the game plan is called differently. They have changed their offense. We saw what Lamar Jackson has done this year under Todd Monken, new system, new coach, which he preached about after the game in his post presser.
Right.
I think it was the scheme they ran and that they were very predictable. And now Lamar's kind of like can do everything.
That's what I'm saying. Obviously, that's a lot of games to lose when you're down 10 and was it 24?
0-24.
Yeah, so that's a lot, right? Obviously, each game could be different, but like in this case, down 10, like a stat that I heard was only 6 rushes from running backs for the Ravens in this game, right? And so it makes me wonder if, being down 10 in the second half, if they just abandoned the run and that's kind of the reason they don't come back. And yeah, it's just interesting. I'd never heard that stat before, and that's alarming. But again, it is also alarming that they did only get 6 rushes from running backs the whole game, right? Like, obviously Lamar is their best rusher, but still, like, that it makes you predictable.
Well, and what Kansas City did and Spagnuolo did, or Spagnuolo, depending on where you're from.
Yeah, I guess
how you say it. But what he was able to do, he stacked 7. He made it impossible because you have 5 offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. And then there's 2 other guys, 2 other linebackers that are coming. So you have to dedicate time to that. And they spread out the offense. That is something that Todd Monken did. He was in Cleveland. I've seen it firsthand, but watching a lot of those games where they spread it out. And that's what Baltimore's done. They were running a spread offense. Well, you can't run the ball effectively against 7 guys in the box and 5 dropping back when it's just not built that way. He's going to make you do something else.
Right.
And that's what they did. So, yes, I'm sure people were all up in arms. Why aren't they running? Well, just because you can't. They were dictating what the offense did.
Yeah.
And that's something that's held. That's how Kansas City won this game. What? They scored 17 by halftime. They didn't score in the second half, still won this game.
Right.
That's defense.
Yeah,
that's defense stepping
obviously,
up.
Yeah, no, obviously Kansas City, and a lot of times, Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce get the recognition for these wins and, playoff wins and for where the Chiefs are right now. But obviously, like you like to say, the defense, needs their flowers, right? It's time to give the defense their flowers. I did look it up it's total yards given up in the season. The Browns are number 1, giving up the least amount of yards. total, and then it's the Chiefs defense. So, they're very good. Like if there's 3 stars on the Kansas City Chiefs, it's Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and that defense.
And what's wild is, they've won ugly. We've seen them, like we talked about, didn't seem like it was a normal Kansas City Chiefs year, and yet they're due for a great game. Statistically speaking, they're due for a great game. They're due to have everything click, and it hasn't happened yet, and they're rolling into the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And they've been there obviously before 4 out of 5 years, which sounds ridiculous. I think the last team that's done that was the Patriots, 2014 to 18. And yes, that sounds like 4 years, but when you add, what I'm saying, it's 5 years.
Yeah.
So having that happen, one thing I did want to point out was the post game from Lamar. After that, when he's in front of the media, he spoke about for being a Browns fan, and this pains me, and I told you, I think from a defensive standpoint, and as a Browns fan and having to play them twice a year, that he's the most, not scariest, because there's other quarterbacks that are better than him, yes, but what he does, he's so hard to defend that he's the quarterback I want to face the least.
Yeah, I say, and it is hard to rank them, but the 3 deadliest weapons in the NFL are Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Pat Mahomes, right? You can't argue with me on that.
No.
There might be a while, maybe Tyreek's up there in the top 5, but mostly it's going to be a quarterback, and it's going to be these dual threat quarterbacks that are they're dangerous. So I agree, and I think Lamar might be the deadliest weapon in the NFL. So.
Well, and what he said was, he was very, you could tell that he had, that he was frustrated, that they lost or whatever, but he said he was very proud of his team, new system, new scheme. They fell a goal short, and they just have to finish it up next time. And he was emphatic. I'm very proud of this team in all of the phases. So he was very much we're going to be back here. We're going to do this. And there's another game we'll talk about, the other game where the losing quarterback sounded so defeated. So it was you have 2 quarterbacks that both lost in the same game, same impact of the loss. One comes out, hey, I'm very proud. The other one guy was like, I'm very proud. We'll talk about it. He was very and everybody's gonna take this in differently. I'm sure he's gonna work. Lamar's gonna be, take this internally and just want to feed off this and be better next year, which is sad for the AFC because they look like they're gonna be around for a while at this level, especially if they get it right in the offense. They found a guy. And Isaiah Likely to pair with Mark Andrews, my goodness. They've got a lot on their plate that's going to be good for them.
I know we're going into the break here soon, but I do want to get into some stats and some moments. I don't want to just gloss over all the action from the game because, again, it was 17-10, but there was a lot of good drives from the Ravens and stuff we should probably get into.
No, we'll get into it on the other side of the break. So we'll finish up that game. We'll get into some stats. There's a bunch of stuff coming from this game. You guys are listening to KDUS 1060 Phoenix, home of the Dan Patrick Show, Rich Eisen, and, of course, us. Me and Pat the Stat Guy. Make sure you guys come on back.